Welcome to the Firebelly Social Show. We're focused on talking to food and beverage brands that are on a mission to make the world better.
Hey, everyone. Duncan here with another episode of the Firebelly Social Show, where I chat with founders and leaders of mission-driven food and beverage brands. Today, we're diving into the world of brand strategy, innovation, purpose-driven growth, and general matters of aesthetics and good taste with my friend, Diana Fryc, partner in Retail Voodoo, a creative branding firm that's doing a lot of great things, and they help food, beverage, and wellness brands rise above the noise and build impact. But before we jump in, a quick shout out to our sponsor, Firebelly Marketing. At Firebelly, we bring our expertise in the food and beverage space into play for mission-based food and beverage brands to grow their communities, get engagement, drive meaningful impact through social media marketing, and now email. If you're ready to turn your social media into your brand's most powerful growth engine, visit firebellymarketing.com. So, with no further ado, Diana Fryc is in the house. She is a powerhouse. She's a marketing executive. She's a partner. She has an MBA. I know her really well. She's done so many amazing things. She's been guiding brands from Fortune 500 companies to emerging startups through tough growth challenges. She's an expert in brand development, innovation, a lot into customer and consumer insights, which we'll talk about today. Marketing and packaging systems. She's also the founder of the Gooder podcast, and she's one of the people that made Naturally Seattle happen. Diana, I could go on and on. She's got great style. My video went off. My video came back on. So many things. Diana, welcome to the show.
Oh my gosh. Duncan, I'm going to just have you be my official hype man. Just carry you around all over. Like, you're making me sound bigger than I actually am. Thank you. I always love talking to you.
I know many people that will agree with me, but for sure Elizabeth Corbett will agree with me. What's up, Elizabeth?
Oh, hey, Beth. She's a girl.
So we are gathered here today to talk about all things that are going on in your life. And you are an amazing friend and supporter of this show. You were, I think, guest 4 or 5.
Okay.
We're in the 180 range right now. So
look at that.
Almost 5 years later. I'm glad you're still tolerating me.
I know. and I will reciprocate that gratitude back to you.
I mean, so many things, expos and sweets and snacks and conversations and wine and food and bitchery and all of the stuff that I do well and you do better. So
we're stronger together. That's what I have to say.
Indeed. And so I wanted to kind of, our friendship is kind of chaotic, which I love. And so I'm going to jump into the things that I'm curious to know about. Like, a lot is going on at Retail Voodoo. Bring us up to speed. The last time I hung out with you and David was so fired up. We got this going on, Duncan. We got that going on. Like, tell me what's happening.
Yeah. Okay. So I think since the last time you and I sat down
6 months ago.
Yeah. So, okay. Since 6 months ago, a lot has happened. First and foremost, Retail Voodoo is now Voodoo Brands.
Awesome.
And part of the update for that was we were recognizing that we needed to make an adjustment because most of our work is actually not graphic design. Most of our work is strategic. And as we were building brand strategy, we were finding that we were getting consistent requests for work within brand strategy that was actually commercial strategy, so on the business side. So we have built that practice now, because we've been doing it all along, but we're offering it as a bucketed service. And then in addition to that, the amount of requests that we were getting for research and insights was big enough, and our partners were not consistently getting us insights that were valuable. So what was happening is we were having the research done and waiting for our research partners to give us insights that we would take in-house and have to redo because people were expecting us to put some voodoo magic on it to find opportunities. And so we decided to bring insights. So we merged with a team out of Chicago called PDG, and she will be underneath our umbrella as of January as a formal acquisition, her and her team. And this will allow us to do work faster and be very specific to the way through the voodoo lens rather than kind of the generic translation of insight. So we've got that, and that's the first leg for 2026 or 2025. 2026 has some additional growth activities, including commercial coaching, which we're actively doing right now. So after we build our commercial plan, then helping them build their internal teams and activate against it, because so many startup and growth brands are looking for that, and they don't just need the plan, but they need somebody to help them do the work to build the business. So that's happening, as well as some other things that I can't talk about quite yet, but we'll just have to have another interview.
That's right. That's right. And I think if I remember correctly from that conversation, and from my prep before this recording, is you all are particularly excited and focused about better for you in general. Is that a fair?
Yeah, 100%. So when we rebranded ourselves from Lemley Design to Retail Voodoo back in 2011, our sole intent was to normalize kind of this naturally type of products, not just in food and beverage, but we're talking about all sorts of manufacturing processes with a triple bottom line approach. And we wanted to take our expertise from working with big giant brands like Starbucks and REI and apply them to this sort of emerging space, which is no longer emerging.
Yeah.
Right. Better for you is really as normalized. It's almost a feature and benefit now. Our next goal is to be able to accelerate that and have not it be a new platform, but normalized as the standard platform, and then everything else will be has to be identified as being non-organic or like all of the alternates. We were going to flip the narrative, sort of like what they do in Europe. Right now in Europe, you are considered an organic or naturals brand, and if you're not, then you identify that you are not. And so that would be our goal in the long run. That's a big, hefty goal because it's infrastructure based. It's not a marketing thing. It is literally like working with governmental and non-governmental organizations to make that happen through the power of branding. So it's a bigger project, but we're ambitious. We like big gnarly projects that change the world.
I mean, and that's how you two have always been. And I mean, I want to transition quickly to something I'm excited about that you guys are doing, is offering broader access, to quote you, broader access to our advice through our new Substack, especially to founders and students, so we can support a growth culture in CPG, consumable everyone every day, elevating and strengthening the industry helps millions of people in real ways. That's phenomenal. Congratulations.
Thank you. That was really a project that was driven very heavily by Sam Cohen, who is new to the team as of this year. And Sam comes with a unique pedigree into the agency world because he comes from, he worked as an executive at Darigold, at Tyson Foods. He's worked at a couple of other kind of growth-minded brands, but he's a traditionally trained business executive, worked in CPG forever. And that's the reason why we're able to bring this commercial strategy and development in here with a strong level of authenticity. But he was also identifying the fact that there's a lot of brands that may not be able to invest in anybody, not just Voodoo Brands, but anybody that could learn from our education. So we decided to do a Substack rather than our website because we wanted to put our insights in a location that was already gathering information about how to be better, smarter, faster, stronger. So as part of a community, rather than just kind of a standalone unit. So there's some ties back to the Voodoo Brands um, website, but really it's a standalone. Voodoo University is a standalone uh, project. And I believe we haven't put this into place yet, but as part of this, I believe we're going to be giving free access to college students in the near future because we feel that this level of information should be free to people who are coming into the market, not just leaders, but because we want those students to have that information now to integrate it into their education and start thinking about it in a very real way.
See, look, I just want you to know that everyone listening is that this is what it takes to be ultra cool when business and your coolness kind of just merge together. Because she just dropped a Daft Punk song in the middle of all this. It's better, faster, stronger.
Way to make that connection.
I
I
mean,
love it.
I mean, so good. I mean, so good. Um, I mean, and that's the soundtrack I'm hearing as you build
Yeah.
movement, right? It's like that, but that's a beautiful aspiration into action where it's a, you're not just, wanting things to be better, which many of us want things to be better, but you're doing it and you're doing it
Mm.
at such a grassroots level. And I mean, I thank you to you and David and your team for thinking that way. Let me ask you this question. We talked about this before.
Mhm.
Um, so many brands fighting for attention, right? And one of the
Yeah.
things that I saw a conversation, I was only partially a part of it, you and Elizabeth talking about protein has jumped the shark, right? And I mean, we got protein Pop Tarts and protein tea, and I mean, I dare say there's probably protein toothpaste coming, right? It's like, so why is there so much protein? Why do we need this bullshit protein? Why can't we just have like good protein?
Well, so what a way to kind of wrap the bow. That's actually one of our articles in our Substack is the growth of protein and the fact that there's actually unlimited opportunity. I joke. Beth Corbett mentioned that Pop Tarts that had protein in it and says it's jumped the shark. It really hasn't. If you look at the landscape from a commercial strategy and innovation standpoint, protein has a lot of growth. Um, it's very trend focused. It's really Atkins 2.0 repackaged up. I don't know, for
Yeah.
those of us that are old enough to remember the Atkins diet, this is really not too different from the Atkins diet. And as with all trends, as we continue to learn how the body functions, how it functions with certain types of food and ingredients and chemicals, and then also all of the other elements that we bring into medicine through medicine. Um, Protein is a foundational building block. It's not like an extra, like carb is a burned energy that's stored as fat. If it's not used, fat is useful in all the ways because it's also a foundational component of how our body moves. We need it to our joints to work and we need our skin to look good and all of those things. It's but also stored as fat, whereas protein doesn't have that behavior. It's usually digested and goes through waste. Whatever is not needed is goes through waste. So we don't have enough education from about what protein can do for us on the maximum. It's all kind of comes to us in stages. But as people are looking for longevity and better health and less problems, protein seems to be the place that needs to happen now. I wouldn't say protein has jumped the shark. I think It's really more, where does protein belong? And there are a lot of companies that are willing to test and learn. So in the Pop Tarts case, I give kudos to that organization for kind of going, can protein work in Pop Tarts? I don't know. Maybe it can, maybe it cannot. The fact that they're willing to try it, and then if it doesn't work, they pull it off the shelf. Not a lot of companies are willing to try things. And so I'm going to give Pop Tarts credit for saying, let's see what happens from this. Because I guarantee, while the product might not sell, they're going to learn, they're going to get some learning behaviors. So there's going to be some insights there about their target consumer and maybe net new consumers that they don't have information on yet that could influence another innovation or another new product line that's adjacent to Pop Tarts. So I am all about thinking that way now rather than going, is this a smart idea or not a smart idea? I think our understanding of what smart and not smart is has to do with, yes, ROI, but then also what are the net long terms that we can get from that? And if there's some education and data that comes out of that, then I don't consider that a flop at all.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, look, if people are happy with what they're consuming, I mean, who are we to say?
100%.
It definitely does seem to me, and I'm on the sidelines with this, man. You're much more in the heart of this,
Yeah.
that there are too many better for you sodas. And
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to ask you, when it comes to these kinds of things, right? Should taste trump, okay, let me rephrase. Should taste be more important than function?
Well, taste is table stakes. Nobody wants to, nobody is going to generally consume long term a product that doesn't taste good and feel good in the mouth, too. Like, mouthfeel is just as important as taste. There's a reason why Greek yogurt and full fat anything is so popular with people, and why cottage cheese has struggled, is the texture of cottage cheese. That's why, I mean, there's all sorts of categories that we can go into. If you look at good culture, was able to kind of overcome some of the texture challenges that other more traditional cottage cheese manufacturers. I mean, cottage cheese was kind of like a bastard child for the longest time, because especially when Greek yogurt came in, because Greek yogurt had that big, nice, creamy mouthfeel and everything. And then good culture comes in the door, and the flavor's a little bit more tolerable for some of those people, and the mouth feels a little bit more smoother. And the added benefit of protein kind of elevated the cottage cheese functionality. So I think taste is table stakes. You're never going to there's nothing on the market that's successful that tastes like crap, especially over the long term. It just doesn't.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry and in regards to the proliferation of better for you sodas, it's what the market will bear. If the market will bear 500 different brands, great. But we know that doesn't generally happen. There will be one or two winners, and then maybe three winners that will kind of duke it out, as like the Coke and Pepsi wars we've seen happen for over the years and years and years. Nobody's really been able to break that. Same thing will happen with the better for you brands if they're not incorporated into one of those master brand families. And then there will be dozens of brands underneath them that will be duking it out for places 3 through 10, and that's just how the market works.
What's your take on all the alternate marketing channels? I mean, I know that everyone that you and I probably talk to want to go straight to retail, right?
Yeah.
What about, I mean, the obvious one is e-commerce, but
Yeah.
universities and hotels and airlines
Yeah.
and corporate campuses and
Yeah.
farmers markets and so on and so on. I mean, how should brands be considering that, and why, and if so, why don't they?
Growth brands in particular should absolutely 100% be looking at alt strategy, mostly because the opportunities are more prolific. So, meaning it's really easy to, like, if you've got a health product and you're able to get into naturopathic offices, or or a supplement, and you can go in that way, or go through alt channels like going through a Starbucks or like the airlines or what have you. Uh, the decision makers are more willing to take risks because these are mostly bolt-ons. They're not the primary revenue versus in a traditional retail channels, each of those slots has to be high performing. When we're talking about alt strategy, primarily most of those, not this is not universal, but alt channel strategy, most of the products that are being sold there are add-on. They're not like primary revenue drivers. So if you're selling something in a yoga studio is selling their services, and it would be great if they could sell yoga mats and snacks and etc. One of the things that I thought was really super interesting and I thought was underutilized in this alt channel strategy thing is my daughter requested, or our daughter requested a not a subscription. What do you call it? A 24-hour fitness, a membership to 24-hour fitness. It's where she and her gal pals were wanting to hang out. And I was like, great, not on screens in any way, shape, or form. They're going to be in the gym for a couple of hours. They're doing some healthy work. So of course, she's a minor. I had to go in and I had to get her all set up. And they have this huge area of snacks. 75% were not private label. They had some private label that were 24-hour fitness co-manned by some private label manufacturer, but most of the products in there were brands that you and I have every single day, and they absolutely know who their target audience is because they had beverages there, which of course they had the Powerades and the waters and that sort of thing, but they had gummy candy in there. They had protein heavy all the way through sugar fixes. And some of the stuff was healthy and some of it was meal replacement, some of it was snacking. But I was like going, that's all anecdotal ad. Like if I go in there and they make their money off of membership, right? But if I walk out of there once a week with a candy bar or a meal replacement shake or something like that, that is just added revenue. So the constraints on bringing a new product into those environments is not as crucial as it is in a traditional retail environment where each of those pieces of real estate has to convert massive amounts of velocity. So I think alt strategy is completely underutilized. And the reason why young growth brands don't go by that route is it traditionally means a higher number of accounts to manage because, if you are targeting QFC or Walmart or a Kroger brand or anything of that nature, you've got one or two contacts to manage 10,000 doors versus if you're going alt strategy and you're doing onesie twosies or a lot of onesie twosies or mom and pops that might have 10 locations, that means that in order to be in 1,000 doors, you're managing 1,000 doors means you're managing 100 accounts. That's a lot of work. And it's the primary reason why you don't see growth brands leveraging that because it's just simply more work. It is good to kind of I recommend going alt strategy while you are building those larger accounts, and then you can pump the brakes on those. But it is a dedicated amount of time, and it's harder. It's harder. It's why you want to use brokers in that particular situation. But hiring a broker also means that you're making less margin. So you just have to do the math. That's part of commercial strategy. Like
Yeah.
that's why people come to us and go, how do I do this where I can grow but don't break the bank? I don't want to lose too much margin on my way to success. And then when do I bring investment in, blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of the reason why the situation for growth brands is a little bit tricky because you need the velocity, but the higher velocity opportunities require far more work.
That's a eloquent way of explaining it. I mean, I know of a coffee brand in the Midwest that has a national presence in hotels.
Yeah.
They were also roasting for a larger brand that everyone would know. And I was amazed because I thought, man, their actual coffee shops just don't move that much product.
No,
How do they stay in business? Well, the coffee shops are just like it's nothing for them. They're all,
100%.
the majority, and the thing is that they had someone, and that's all they did was they called these hotels and said, "Hey, can I send some product for you to try?" And then they'd ramp it up, and the
Yeah.
product they were doing, specialty packaging where you
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm talking about a very, very, very successful brand. They've built,
Yeah.
generational wealth with this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, okay, so next question, with no intro or no segue really,
Uh-oh.
why does good design matter?
Ooh. Okay. So first of all, I this is a question that people don't know to ask. So there's a difference between good design and then there's and the difference between beautiful design in CPG. So there are a lot, like we talking to a couple of people recently where they were asked, they said our product's having a hard time. We have people don't understand what we are. We're having a hard time with velocities. And they said, what do you think of the packaging? And I said, this packaging is beautiful. And I said, it's got all the design elements and all the cool functionality, but it's not doing the heavy lifting of CPG. So good design in packaging does not necessarily mean beautiful design. That is table stakes. Again, I'm going to use that word again. It's table stakes. Beautiful design is necessary because people want to have beautiful things, whatever their description of beautiful is. They want beautiful things in their hands and in their homes. However, packaging is a tool. It's basically a little tiny billboard if it's a can or a box that has to communicate information about the product clearly, the relevant features and benefits, and say something about the brand too. Because if you're not a Nike, you can't just put a swoosh on something and the people go, I understand what that means. Nike has spent zillions of dollars in marketing over the years and has brand equity that younger brands don't. When I mean younger brands, I mean anything probably sub $500 million annual, because Nike is billions of dollars. Frito-Lay is billions of dollars. And they can put their name on something and people will get it, new product or existing product or not. So anything sub $500 million, you still have to educate the client about what the product is. So good design in our world means functional and beautiful. And it needs to talk about the brand in shorthand. It needs to talk about the product in shorthand, and it needs to talk about features and benefits in shorthand. And not all features and benefits. You have to determine based off of your brand strategy what the appropriate features and benefits need to be on the front. Because the last thing we need to do is put 900 talking points on the front of our package and then confuse the shit out of people. And excuse the French, you can X that out. But a customer is giving you 3 seconds, 5 seconds tops on looking at you for the first time. And then at home, it's doing the same thing. Another big feature that people don't think about is your packaging doesn't stop working the minute it's purchased. It is used at home over and over and over again. Your kids are going to look at it, your family's going to look at it, your neighbors when they come over, or friends, anything, they're going to be looking at it. You are going to get some value every time you pick up that packaging, believe it or not. You can even try this with yourself. I look at the products that I use at home, and I will always pick up the packaging. Maybe this is because it's me, but I always pick up the packaging of whatever snack product I like the design most of before I go to something else. And that is, I believe it's just human behavior. We like to have the things that connect with us. So your packaging doesn't stop working the minute somebody has purchased it. It continues all the way through until it goes into the trash, and even longer depending on who your target consumer is, when we start talking about compostability and recyclability and circular economy and packaging and all of those kinds of things. So good design means beautiful and functional, not just it looks cool or it looks awesome.
That's amazing. I mean, I do think I do the same thing. I did not know I was doing it until you just said that, but I do gravitate towards things that are better designed. Now, if it doesn't taste good or it doesn't, it doesn't work for me, then
100%.
I don't go back to it. But
Yep.
I know there's one that comes to mind, and you were around when I first came across this product,
Yeah.
the tortilla chip company El Nacho. And
Yeah.
I mean,
It's pretty fun, isn't it?
I love the personification,
Yeah.
Ms. Mango and El Diablo. But the thing,
Yeah.
and the packaging, it's sort of like this superhero.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not really campy, but it's dramatic. And but the product is spectacular.
Yeah, that again, table stakes. I mean, you and I both work in food and beverage. I cannot tell you how much money Instacart has saved me on impulse purchases. When I go to the grocery store, I will grab a good three or four products that are interesting. First of all, because they're new, it's a new flavor extension, line extension, or new brand, or the packaging is attracts me. And a lot of it I try once and it goes out. Very few come into regular rotation just simply because I like what I like. But I will say that package design, I will never put anything in my basket that doesn't that doesn't hold a design aesthetic that I think is that I want to have in my home. I know that sounds really weird. I don't know that everybody behaves that way, but it's certainly the way I behave.
Yeah, I mean, I could say that also works for me with fruits and vegetables. I'm less likely to buy a rutabaga than I am a radish, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, this has been true in grocery forever. There's a reason why food is why there's a place called Imperfect Foods. It's like weird looking banana shapes, weird looking carrot growth or whatever is not typically put in the grocery store because people don't buy them. And it's not right. It's just an aesthetic thing. So it's not, it shouldn't be strange to us that then translates into shelf stable products. Like we've been behaving that way with fresh food forever and ever. Always, right? So this should not be a surprise.
I mean, it's so this is just, Diana and Duncan going off on a tangent here, but I was watching The Materialists.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
You'd like it. And there's a scene in there where Pedro Pascal is talking to what's her name? Dakota Johnson.
Hmm.
And he reluctantly tells her that he's had height enhancement surgery. And she's like, "What do you mean?" And he says, "Well, I was 5'6". And she said, "But you're clearly 6 feet tall. You're over 6 feet tall." And he goes, "I know." And she says, "Well, why did you do it?" And he goes, "Tall men, they make more of an impact. People want to be around tall men." He said, "You'd never date me if I was 5'6". I'm more successful because I'm tall. So I'm like, I had to tell that story because I think it's everywhere, whether
Yeah.
it's fruit or
It's,
packaging. It's just like, it's
yeah.
packaging.
People want beautiful things, whatever beautiful means to them and whatever they can afford too. So it just applies to packaging, but it has to communicate too.
Now, what's happening with Naturally Seattle? I gotta get the update.
Oh, thank you for asking that. So I had been working on developing Naturally Seattle. Me, like I'm the superhero. There's a group of us. I've been the lead cat herder, I should say, even though my title is president. But there's been a dedicated team of people that have been working on it, and we became official affiliate in January of this year, which was such a great thing. And we have had our Naturally Rising event was really awesome. I love the fact that it was held at Seattle University, my MBA alma mater. And then we got to bring students. We had students come in and attend for free. So again, kind of bringing in students into the real world. Um, And since then, we have had amazing speakers from Campbell's. We've had people like Nut Pods come in and make sponsorships. A lot of founding owner, high growth brands that are involved. And our board is evolving. We have one official new board member and a couple that are coming on in a couple of weeks that I don't want to spill the beans on yet, that come from nonprofit board backgrounds that know how to take a vision, a one that that I created early on and that we've all been marching toward, and then turning it into a high functioning organization that supports the community in the way that we really want to. So really, we're coming up on our first anniversary in January, and I would say big things to come, I would say. So, but if anybody in the Pacific Northwest is looking to connect with Naturally Northwest, or I'm going to call, we were called Naturally Northwest until we were required to change to Naturally Seattle. But I don't want to go into the politics behind that. But I will say that it's a great organization to participate in for networking, keeping so that you don't have to go to Chicago, you don't have to go to New York to get your expertise on growing your brand or financing or any of those functional components that you need. And then also to have a group of people to help you as you navigate your journey through leadership. And we have people from Starbucks and Amazon that participate. And then we have a significant number of high growth brands. And we're figuring out how to develop the community that supports the Northwest in its own unique way while following in the footsteps with what's happening nationwide. The end goal, though, is to build that really strong local community, but then also to be able to have Northwest representation on a national scale, because we do bring some functional expertise that is different than the rest of the country. And most of that, it has to do with food tech, because we have high tech and we have really huge agricultural, like a good, so I want to say about 50% of our state is dedicated to ag, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when you look at we have the second largest diaspora of products that are grown in the United States here in Washington State. We're the second largest exporter of agricultural products in the United States. So we have a lot to say, and we're just being a bunch of introverts over here and not organizing ourselves. So it takes an extra. I have 3 A's in my extrovertedness. Somebody like me and a group of people like me to kind of pull us all together and help us be the best that we can be in the Northwest, and then provide our point of view and expertise to the rest of the country.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you hit it. Community is the core part. And through community, we can all be better. And I think I'm going to bring it, I'm going to bring it back to faster, better, stronger. So,
Yeah.
because I love
And that's the truth is there's anybody who's worked within a company, whether it's a startup or really mature multinational, you are never a single person that is working on an initiative. You may be the lead, you may be the owner, but without resources like people that you can call on or partners that help you get to the end goal, there's nobody that's doing any of this on their own. And your idea was prompted by something. It didn't come out of the middle of nowhere. It came from an experience that you had or a need that you had. And so there is no such thing as doing it alone. So let's do it together anyways. And let's be real about it. Like, that's just how we get to the finish line.
I love it. I love it. I love the keeping it real piece. I know when we were at, excuse me, when we were at Sweets and Snacks last year,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe it was this year. It was this year. And there was the Bell's popcorn
Yes.
was winning some awards. And there were some people behind me, and they were talking amongst themselves. And what they were saying was, how can some teams, of course, this was a much smaller team at Bell's,
Yeah.
and how can some teams affect such change and innovation, you know? And so I casually acted like I was looking for someone to see, you know, who they were with. It was a very, very large brand that everyone would know. And I thought to myself, like, wonder how many events they go to just listen to what's happening and talk to people, right? Because when you're in giant organizations, sometimes your community is everyone that you're around at the company.
It's a bubble. Yeah.
And so I think you're right. I think community is the key. And I was just having this conversation at lunch today about a mastermind for agency owners. And it's like, hey, you know, I can get ahead by knowing what you dealt with and how you solved faster than I can on going on ChatGPT or, you know, going and researching it and asking 50 people who are not qualified to answer. And I can
Yeah.
ask one person who did exactly what I'm trying to do. So I think
Yeah.
community is critical. What a journey. You've been on such a journey. So we talked about Voodoo Brands, and we talked about the Substack. We've talked about good design. We've talked about better for you,
Naturally, Seattle.
naturally Seattle. I wanted to ask, you know, what are you excited about at the moment? I've heard, I've heard. I mean, you're excited about it all, but what are you maybe personally excited about?
Just in general, or are we talking about within the industry?
I mean, you know, you could talk about a cocktail or tea or cheese.
Well, I sent you a note yesterday. I said, there's a new cheese shop in town.
Exactly,
It
exactly.
might be the only cheese shop in town that I read about in the Seattle Times that has been started by like 2 or 3 weeks ago by a world famous cheesemonger, and about lost myself because I have a thing with cheese and I have a thing with butter. Believe it or not, I can't eat American butter. I was introduced to European butter, and now I can't go back. I will use American butter, and this I clump Kerrygold in here too because Kerrygold is functional, but it does not have like some of the French butter. Let me tell you, I will have butter with a little bit of bread and call that a meal. Like it'd be this much butter and this much bread. Um, but I just like it's on my to-do list. So I'm super excited about butter. I'm super excited about what's happening in the Seattle waterfront. Seattle has spent years rebuilding their waterfront, and I went for a walk with Beth Corbett down at those of you that haven't been to Seattle. First of all, if you come to Seattle, you need to go down to the waterfront because it's a multi-billion-dollar investment that's been down there. But the Seattle Art Museum, years ago, maybe 15 years ago, could be a little bit longer, put a sculpture park on part of the waterfront near a kind of was like a derelict trail that and park that was called Myrtle Edwards Park, and they converted it into a open art space. So it has these sculptures that are, some of them are 2, 3 stories tall sculpture, like massive. And it's along the waterfront. And over the years, companies like Expedia and PCC have put their corporate offices near there and then developed from their buildings to Myrtle Edwards Park. And it's just spectacular. And I was talking with Beth and I said, people just need to spend more time here, even if they live in the city. But if you are visiting, take a day, go on the waterfront, go for a walk at sunset because the light changes from the sunset changes how the sculptures look as the light changes. But we were talking, and as we were walking along, I said, this part looks really beautiful. And Beth said, oh, this other part on the other side of the street from where all this amazing development has been purchased and is going to be developed by 3 women who are into public works projects. And it's Melinda Gates, Bezos' ex-wife. Is it Rebecca? I don't remember her first name. We're talking about, we're going to develop this other side, but we need one more person to help us. And apparently they called up Diane von Furstenberg, who her and her husband have put massive amount of developments in the High Line and Tulip Park in New York. And they said, we're wanting to build and reframe the other side of the waterfront so that the whole entire landscape is a wonderful experience. And she is on board. So I'm just amazed because anything that Diane von Furstenberg does from a public works standpoint is nothing short of not, it's not just beautiful, but it's like groundbreaking infrastructure design. So those are the two things that I'm most excited about. I have nothing to do with CPG and has everything to do into public works and redevelopment and cheese and butter.
I mean, and Capicola. So I had to check out the website. That's the first thing I saw. I was like, Capicola for the win.
I know. I'm gonna have to I said field trip. Like everybody I know, I need to go.
Yeah.
It was like what was awesome was Seattle Times reported the shop as a cheese shop, but if you go in there, it's like high-end charcuterie. Easy enough for me to say charcuterie. And there's so many brands from Seattle, most of whom I know, but ones that I'd never heard of before in there. And they you can hire them to put together like these super expressive boards. I'm like, sign me up. That's dinner. I am all over it.
Yeah. What a statement for a party, too. And then you don't have to do it. Someone else does
I
it.
know. I know. What's the name of him? Let's give them a shout out. Do you still have the link for that?
It's street cheese.
Street cheese out of Seattle. Take a look. You will be pleased. The website needs a little TLC. Do not judge the website. The products will blow your face away. And then I'll eventually go and take pictures from when I do my field trip and share them on the socials. But yeah.
It's streetcheeseseattle.com. And yeah, it's super cool. They've got a great mission. They have high standards for sourcing, food safety,
Yes.
quality, and they want to have a positive impact. And they said, in a world of markups and margins, we stand alone. What a beautiful statement.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as always, what a fantastic conversation. Any other shout outs you want to give to your people or your folks in the industry?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to share this last bit. We have been working with the now owner of Magic Chocolate, and many of you might know Magic Chocolate from when Dr. Bronner's used to own them. Dr. Bronner's decided that maybe chocolate didn't fit their product mix very well. They had brought in Joe Winnie, who is the founder and former owner of Theo Chocolate. He sold that company and brand. And he was running that line for the Bronner's team before there was an agreement that it should be a standalone product. So Magic Chocolate is now owned by a company out of Switzerland, and the chocolate is being manufactured. They did a redesign earlier this year with another agency, and then I wanted something a little bit more. So Joe came to work with us and we designed their website. We took the existing new design and applied it to a new product they're called praline bars, but they're not American pralines. They're more European centric. And the product is launched in Sprouts, and the product will be added to their website soon. So take a look at magicchocolate.com. You'll see the existing former Bronner's line in there, and the other products will be coming in soon through there. And I'm really proud of what Joe is doing because high integrity, regenerative agriculture products, organic, non-GMO, and then the next thing that they're working on and then we're working on with them is how do we apply recyclability and compostability into the entire supply chain on packaging, not just the end product. So super excited to be working with them on that and the relationship that we have. But the pralines, I'm going to tell you, I had some benchtop samples that were pretty dope. I'm a chocolate lover. Anyone that knows me knows this. So love myself some chocolate, love myself products that have chocolate in them. This is a cream of the crop product. So make sure you keep your eyeballs open for that.
Well, Diana, thank you so much. You're an amazing person and so interesting. And thanks for sharing your expertise with the world and also making it better. And I can't wait to dive into the Substack. And everyone, if you want to check out Voodoo Brands, it's voodoo-brands.co. And let me say their official tagline, which is they craft winning brands. So, hey, listen, if you see yourself as a winner and you're not winning yet, go to Voodoo Brands. I mean, that's an easy one right there. So, and shout out to Firebelly for making all of this.
100%.
Oh, sorry, all of this possible. If you haven't already checked Firebelly marketing out, bring our expertise into play for you for powerful social media strategy. Visit firebellymarketing.com. Hey, any last minute shout outs you want to give, Diana?
Oh, just the last minute is going to be to Dr. Jeremy, who he introduced us. I'm going to say
Dr.
good people.
Dr. Jeremy Wise, everybody, Rise 25. He's an
Nice 25.
awesome guy. One more time, thank you, Diana, for making the world better. Check out voodoo-brands.co. Thanks again for tuning in to the Firebelly Social Show. We'll see you next time. I remain your host, Duncan Alney. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Firebelly Social Show. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.